In the meanwhile, that Dr. Ashok Alur joins in, just to let you know that we also have, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Ashok.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
I have a problem with my microphone. Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of this seminar on agriculture technology and global food security. We have heard, different scholarly speakers prior to me, and I would like to give a fair global overview on the topic. Friends, we are all aware that the global food security, it basically implies that all people throughout the globe, including vulnerable groups such as rural and urban poor, at all time have easy access to adequate quantities of safe and nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. This is what we usually refer to the food security. And if you look at food security is a fundamental right that should be embraced by all the countries, irrespective of their level of technical, economic, and social development, whether they are advanced in development, whether they're developing, whether they're underdeveloped, they need to have food security on the top of their agenda. And food security is essential to a nation, but it is challenged by several factors, such as lack of education, political instability, inadequate planning and policies, lack of transparency, improper governance, lack of financial resources, so slow paces in technology development and technology transfer and its adoption, and several other governance related issues. Improving these factors, should contribute to the improved food intake, and it should bring down the hunger levels. I believe that technology can contribute to the achievement of global food security in a big way or in a great way. The term technology is a broad term, and it is defined as the collection of techniques, skills, methods, and processes in the production of several foods, goods, and other services. The technology required to be food secure is very specific, and it varies from country to country. It cannot be same in India, same in other countries across the globe. It depends on the natural resources that they possess, physical environment that they have, infrastructure that they have developed, climatic factors, cultural issues, literacy, and economic conditions, and the governance in the country. Most of the developing countries typically develop food security strategies following the path and processes that are different from those adopted by the developed countries, because they cannot have a similar strategies, similar plans that are adopted by the developed countries. In developing countries, the technologies to achieve food security span a wide range of subject areas. For example, we can talk about the land preparation, soil and water management, seed production, weed management, pest and disease control, farm management, harvesting, and such post-harvest practices like storage, processing, value addition, packaging, marketing, distribution, all such things. They're all embedded in the entire concept of food security, and technology is attached to it. If you look at the efficient irrigation management technologies, this is one of the most important component of ensuring food security. Water harvesting, water conservation techniques, they can address several constraints in water scarce countries, and they are one of the most important aspects in ensuring food security in the developing countries. If you look at the soil parameters, Vice Chancellor was talking about the decision support system that we are trying to develop, work on the land resource inventarization. It is basically to understand the level of soils, the type of soils, the fertility, their productivity, and their capability. If the soils are poor, if there is a water scarcity, we have a lot of pests and diseases and weeds and other things, and we have unsuitable temperatures as well. They're all well known to reduce the productivity of crops. We're all aware about it. And this leads to low efficiency of input uses and also suppresses the crop output. and ultimately leads to reduced food security. If you look at the post-harvest losses of crops, they carry the burden of all resources consumed in producing harvest that is lost. We talk about 25 to 30% of food that is produced is lost because of lack of good storage and processing technologies. Hence, storage and processing technologies is they're very, very important, and that is being given top priority. Earlier speakers were talking about the importance that has been attached to these technologies in Indian subcontinent. If you take the example of root and tuber crops, such as potato, cassava, and sweet potato, they have, there is a possibility that we can minimize the rate of post-harvest spoilage. They can be kept without much treatment for a long time. And if you look at the pests and diseases, they are the major constraints as far as agriculture production is concerned, and they can significantly reduce the crop productivity. Integrated crop management technologies have been developed in most of the crops in the global scenario, and such technologies can be used, adopted, and practiced to address the issues pertaining to pests and diseases. Some of the technologies, even they can hasten the completion of a task and at a lower cost. Moreover, the food diversity is very, very important to meet the required nutrition levels. Few of our friends in India, especially in Karnataka, they are working on a concept called Akkadi Salva. Akkadi Salva is basically, intercropping, mixing the crops, putting more number of crops on a same piece of land. The idea is to bring in a diversity in growing different crops, and that indirectly ensure the nutrition security at the family level. Food security in developing countries is further complicated by social equality and political stability. People lacking food security will search for better life elsewhere. We were talking about, we were listening to Mr. Vijay Kumarji, who was talking about migration of people from villages to cities, in search of income and their livelihood. Such situations are very, very common features in case of developing countries where they have not attached much importance to agriculture sector. Food insecurity and hunger. In many cases, they have led to the displacement of millions of people. The migration has brought about food insecurity, and it has destabilized several countries. This is a very common phenomenon in case of developing countries. Basically people go in search of jobs, and securing their livelihoods, and food security is one of these components. Complicating the situation even more, even when people may have enough to eat, they still may be unhealthy due to poor diets. This is another aspect which is very common across developing countries. Basically, women and the children, they are suffering because of the non-availability of nutritious food. And in some cases, it has led to obesity, especially people who have enough to eat, people who have a lot of things at their excess, but still they end up in eating poor diets, basically the junk food, and that leads to obesity, diabetes, heart-related diseases, and several malignant conditions. So we have both situations where food is not available. We have a certain set of problems where food is available, but we have another set of problems that are seen in case of developed countries. So technologies can help provide basic and extra food choices to the vulnerable populations. So we have discussed a lot of technologies have been presented by my earlier speakers. Few people have touched upon the hydroponics, the importance of growing more number of crops in a given piece of land. This can come from improved crop varieties. We have done, especially India has done a tremendous advancement in crop improvement. For example, if you take the example of orange-fleshed sweet potato, this has added into the basket of purple or white-fleshed sweet potato. And you can also see the iron-rich beans, zinc-fortified, bajra. All these are the technology-enabled improvements that have been brought in the agriculture sector, that they have also helped helped the people to have a secured food and nutrition status. And if you look at the food security related issues, it can also help to restore the political stability. If people are food secure, people are calm and happy. This can help in restoring the political stability by ensuring that the production of food is based on the efficient agricultural practices, sustainable practices. You can ensure high productivity from well-adopted, improved, crop varieties. This can also provide dynamic employment to the people engaged in agriculture sector, and this can also result in revenue generation for a large number of people who are dependent on agriculture. So technology is the backbone for people to stay back in agriculture and then earn better and better livelihoods. Technology can also support improved economic growth and social well-being. Effective harvest and proper post-harvest practices to minimize the losses of produced food, effective storage and conservation practices to increase the value of harvested products, identification of high value-added products to improve economic gains for the processors, and also institutions of farmers. That also helps in ensuring a long shelf life and also enhanced marketing of available foodstuffs at competitive prices based on the effective government policies. So these are all supported by the technological innovations. Unless we use those innovations, adopt those innovations into our system, we will not be able to ensure food security or ensure better income.
Dr. Ashok?
Yeah. Food security can also be achieved by using knowledge of the best practices based on science. Technological packages have to be well chosen and appropriate for the local context so that they're used by a range of actors along the production and consumption chain. And the effectiveness of all the whole process depends on the location, farm sizes, farmers' literacy, access to information, government policies, and their enforcement. Several countries have done different tie-ups, and in our case, we are now working on farmer producers companies, basically trying to bring in small and marginal farmers, link them with various supply, actors in supply and market chains so that they remain at the helm of affairs in agriculture, food production, food security, and gain better income and employment out of agriculture. And this is one model that is now being adopted across South Asian countries. Maybe this will become more popular in Africa and sub-Saharan African countries. With this, I would like to just close my presentation, and I hope I have made sense to the topic that been given to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok. Thank you so much. You reiterated the issue of decision support system, wherein you were all a part of that in developing this particular decision support system in the World Bank supported project like Sujala. And you are the pioneer to lead this land resources inventarization. So you also reiterated that fact of adoption to the small farmers and to the farmer producer groups. I'm sure that these are the new trends. The farmer should be able to encash, the government should be able to come up with the policy, and with this we can certainly stabilize and sustain the food production part of it. So thank you very much, Dr. Ashok, for that. Yes, at the same time, we can see a very prominent viewer, Mr. Amar Narayan. Amar Narayan is this IAS officer, and he is a Green Commander. And I'm sure that his involvement in the history of Karnataka is so well